The Doctor Who Alhambra Podcast. Real Doctor Who fans with real Doctor Who opinions.
Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Alhambra Podcast. I'm your host, Brett, and in today's episode, I'm going to be diving into the regeneration of the Big Finish website, as well as discussing the brand new TV spin-off series for New Who, as well as tackling the ever-important question, when is it appropriate to give spoilers for a Big Finish audio drama? So sit back, relax, and enjoy, and let's embark into this journey through time and space and everything Doctor Who. All right, well, I'll just let you know I'm not proud with the amount of takes that had to take for that to make it sound audible to anybody's ears whatsoever. So like I said, in this podcast, I'm going to be talking about a couple of new things that I find interesting, as well as, maybe I'll just save that for another future podcast. Who knows? Hopefully the monthly release or the kind of bi-weekly release or whatever of the podcast has been an enjoyable reception. If you'd like to, again, email the show, tweet the show, DM the show. DMs are open. You can reach us at alhambraaudio@gmail.com. That is ALHAMBRA audio@gmail.com. You can tweet the show at Alhambra Podcast. DMs are open. And now, without further ado, let's get to the first topic at hand. And that is the new Big Finish website is coming. Yeah, I got a notification on my phone yesterday, which was the 25th of July. And it was to notify me that, change, my dear, and not a moment too soon. Big Finish's website is going to regenerate on the 30th of July. Now, this will be the second time that second time they've updated their website. They've had three that I'm familiar with. And I know when they updated it to the most recent one, I was not thrilled with it at all. And however, at least according to what they have shown me on this sample site on their homepage, I'm actually pretty impressed with what they're doing. So in the article on their site, it says, since 1999, Big Finish has been producing full-cast Doctor Who audios, originally advertised with the tagline, "Experience a New Beginning." Now, a guaranteed another 25 years of audio drama. It's time for another new beginning. Over the past 18 months, the entirety of the Big Finish operations has been undergoing a series of upgrades from stock control and distribution systems, as well as their warehouse and email newsletter and storefront of the website itself. All of these changes will future-proof Big Finish so you can continue to listen to the audio dramas you love as well into the 21st century, which is weird because I don't think it, did that. According to the, information, it says that they have taken on board the comments and feedbacks from customers over the past few years, and some requests and features will be rolled out once the website launches at 9 a.m. UK time on the 30th of July. Some of these new features include improved search functionality to help you find what you're looking for more quickly and more effectively, which I really appreciate because you used to really be able to scroll through and find the monthly ranges and do this and do that with their old website. This new one, as they've kind of updated it, I feel as though it's been a tad bit clunky. I like the second one, low stock notification, because, recently for the past couple of years, on their slider, they will, these are the sales, or these are the CDs that are, low on stock, or, these are what we're trying to clear out. So I like that they're giving low stock notifications so that you have a chance to pick up buying a physical copy before it is all gone. And then it says more flexible ways to save money, multi-buy discounts, which is replacing the old subscription and CD bundles. Well, that's kind of interesting. I would really appreciate it if they would let you kind of mix and match certain bundles. Some of the bundles, like, you're basically saving like $2 But I guess I shouldn't shake a stick at $2. But again, I wish that you could just grab something from the First Doctor audio. Or for me, I felt kind of reluctant the past 2 years to pick up the first Second Doctor bundle. I wish I could have just picked up the Second Doctor bundle and maybe one of the Fifth Doctors or something like that, and instead of having to get the first one. But I digress. And finally, it says a more intuitive site navigation with all releases now categorized by series, collection, and genre. And this is what I like from their main picture of their website. Is it has the classic Doctor Who logo at the bottom, which I think is going to, and why I say in classic Doctor Who logo, I will say the one that has been on Big Finishes and Doctor Who releases since the early 2000s to the TV movie, more or less that logo. Then you have the BBC Doctor Who logo, which I guess will probably be the new series stuff. So I like that they're giving you the classic logo. Well, I guess it's kind of more like the Third Doctor logo also. But I like that they're giving you the classic Doctor logo, which would, for me, I would assume that that's where you could pick up all the classic Doctor material or find all the classic Doctor material. You have the new series logo, which would, again, lead you down the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th Doctor new series stuff. And then you have from the worlds of from the worlds of Doctor Who. So this would be your Jacob Lightfoot Passengers Gang type stuff, Call Me Master, whatnot. So I really like how they have at least these bottom buttons so far all set up. So I think that this is going to be a really good and much needed improvement to the Big Finish website. So I am really excited to see this launch when it comes on the 30th of July. Obviously, this is not going to be evergreen content, but I do think that it is kind of important to discuss and share my likes and whatnot. They did say, for the FAQs, it says, what do I need to do? At this stage, nothing. All your account information will be transferred to the new website, including your library purchases. However, after relaunch, the first time you log into Big Finish, you will need to reset your password for security purposes. And so I think that's very important information. One of them is, what will happen to my account? All of your account information, including your download library, will be carried across. Download purchases, well, it'd be kind of interesting. Part of me almost wants to just kind of, I wish, because, for my job, we had a massive update to our state education site. And we were given the option to download a file of all of the credits that we had, because there was a chance that some of them would not carry over. And it was a good thing because they did not carry over. I wish that Big Finish would allow you to download not a transcript, but basically a buttload of receipts for which, buttload is a metric system of counting and measuring. But I wish that Big Finish would allow you to download all of your receipts. I think the hard part about it is the receipts that, I had with the old website look completely different than the ones from the new website, because according to the old or the new current website, all the things that I purchased for $0. And so I think there could be some difficulty with everything. So it'll be kind of interesting to see if there's any snafus or incidental misses that occur because of that. So I like that. One of their FAQs is, should I back up my downloads? And they said that we've always advised customers to download and retain backup copies offline. Please be aware that downloading within the Big Finish app does not constitute an offline backup. You should visit your account page via the website and access. And here's the hard part. For myself and Liam and Legion, we have so many things in our account and at one point in time, I was constantly downloading and have them all up there. Part of me wants to just download it just out of pure paranoia, just to be sure. But the other half of me is just like, no, this should be here. And I'm curious what Big Finish will do if it doesn't work right. Will there be, will my receipts from what I've previously bought, will those still be available on the new site? So if I'm missing something, I can say, hey, check this out. I bought this 2013. What will you do for me? So anyway. And then it says, will the Big Finish app still work? And it says, although the Big Finish app will continue to play existing downloads, it will soon be decommissioned. I do not like that. What? To continue to enjoy listening to your audio drama purchases from the 30th of July, you will need to download the new Big Finish. Oh, so there's going to be a new Big Finish app, and then you're going to have to... Okay. All right. That's okay. How do I download the new Big Finish app? Blah, blah, blah. All right. So I'm kind of bummed that I'd have to download the new Big Finish app. I hope it's not any night and day different than what it currently is, because that has been my go-to. And that's why I'm so far behind in downloading some of this content onto hard drives. That is where I've been storing all of my downloads. I used to constantly have a massive file on my iTunes that constantly had every single thing categorized by this and that, because I was very quirky. I'm still very quirky, but I was more quirky in that setting than I was before. And now I kind of have been a little bit lazy, because all I have to do is just go to the app. So there's no doubt that there will be some snafus, and those of you that are still with the Big Finish listeners group, that you have not laughy face emoji, one of the admin, that you monitor, any, things that might not go well. If you're a part of the Big Finish audio group, which has actually been very stellar and not as Wild Wild Westy as it initially was, I would maintain focus on those for at least a couple of weeks, so that, if there is a bug, that people can, come together and share information about how buggy or how lack of buggy the new Big Finish website is. So I think that's going to be something to focus on. All right, so next, today, as of recording, is the Friday of San Diego Comic-Con 2024. And I just was checking to see what was going on with DC Comics, and Pete McTeague had a post that got shared with me. It says, a little secret I've been working on with Russell T. Davies. It's going to be brilliant. Hashtag Doctor Who. Hashtag the war between Russell, and then at Russell Toby and at Gunga. I will butcher that name. So on the Doctor Who Twitter account, it says the war between the land and the sea. It says, just announced the Whoniverse spinoff begins filming next month. So in August of 2023, featuring a cast. Let's see, and let me just. So it says find out more at this website. So I'm just going to click on that. While I'm waiting for that to pop up, I did watch the trailer for the 2025, no, we're not that far ahead in the future yet. 2024 Christmas special. Now, I was kind of somewhat cringing while watching the entirety of the teaser for the Christmas special. It features some actors from Bridgerton, and I really don't care. I watched 3 episodes of Bridgerton, and you know what? It's just one of those not for me. Even though it is probably one of the more popular shows on Netflix, not for me. They seem to tease in that Christmas special the Silurians. So it's going to be quite interesting to see if the Christmas special will lead into this new tie-in series, which would be good. Hopefully they do have the oversight of RTD as season 41, series 15, season 2 has been recorded for New Who. So it's going to be interesting to see what the connection is, when this is going to come out. According to DoctorWho.tv, it says Russell Tovey, Gunga, that person, leads the cast of the new Doctor Who spin-off series for the BBC and Disney Plus alongside Doctor Who alumni Gemma Redgrave and Alexander Drevitt. I have no idea who he is or who he played, but sure, why not? It says this series was created by a showrunner and executive producer, RTD, who has written the series with Pete McTeague, who did A Discovery of Witches, The Pact, and Doctor Who. It says leading the 5-part series is Russell Tovey, and the series will also see the return of unit alumni Gemma Redgrave, who will reprise her role as Kate Lethbridge Stewart and Alexander Drevitt as Colonel Ibram or whatever. When a fearsome and ancient species emerges from the ocean, so we got sea devils. All right, hopefully they will be a lot better than the 13th Doctor sea devils ones. But hey ho, here's keeping our fingers crossed. So it's when the fearsome and ancient species emerges from the ocean dramatically, revealing themselves to humanity, an international crisis is triggered with the entire population at risk. UNIT steps into action and as the land and sea war wages. All right, so yeah, it's gonna be that. I'm interested, but also I will tell you I'm not interested. I'm glad that what is it? Did it say a 5-part series? Okay, so not that big of time consuming, but again, with the struggle, and I do think that there has been some struggle with the season 1, series 15, 14, I can't remember, as well, or season 40 of the new series of Doctor Who. I think that having a spin-off series is kind of pushing it currently right now. It'll be interesting to see if this is going to be a standalone one and done series, or if it'll be canceled just because, lack of popularity, because, depending on who you listen to or depending on who you read, depends on whether Disney Plus is thrilled about Doctor Who on their platform and whether they're going to be willing to give a 3rd season or series to the Shurigatwa RTD series. So stay tuned for that. It'll be interesting. I'm not poo-pooing it. It's just something that, after a while, you grow apathy for a show that you've kind of fallen out of love with. You don't hate it anymore. It just doesn't bring you joy. So the new series, because of by Regeneration, like I've said, because of the Timeless Child, because of some of the things that are current, gun, sonic screwdriver, wheelchair Davros or whatever. I think there's so many things to be leery of regarding and revolving around the new series of Doctor Who, which, is, as Liam has said, and I will give it to him, that, Doctor Who is a show that is constantly evolving, but it has evolved into a show that I kind of don't recognize. And it mainly comes down to the Timeless Child and to By Regeneration. And I'll just leave it right there. All right. And the final thing I want to cover. Now, I think this is fascinating. This is absolutely fascinating. So I was on the, where was it? Was it the audio group? Where was I? Yeah, Big Finish audio group. So a handful of days ago, somebody posted, so we had that Masterful series that came out, I think, about 2021, 2022, something like that. Featured all the Masters, and they got together and had some fun. And it was, the best way I could describe it basically is it was a Return to Telos episode where nothing really mattered. And somebody on the Big Finish audio group posted this and said, the Saxon Master killing the 13th Doctor in an aborted timeline is quite funny in hindsight. It's almost like a foreshadowing of power of the Doctor. And somebody came in and said, oh, well, that's one to skip now since you've given the ending away. And this morphed into such a interesting thread. And it was, well, it did come out 3.5 years ago, which is long enough for so-called spoilers to be reasonably talked about. So, and here's the interesting thing. So on this podcast, we do spoilers. However, I have in previous podcasts kind of had everybody withhold massive spoilers to shows that, should not and don't deserve to be spoiled. I think it's one of those things where if the gravity of the twist ending is so large, you want to make sure that nobody knows what's going on. And so you kind of keep it from everybody else. So we've done that. At the very beginning of the Dr. Alhambra podcast, we would not do spoilers, but we would talk around them like, oh, didn't you think that was interesting? Like how that happened and that guy that went that. And I found the vagueness like hard to listen to. And oddly, we probably should put, spoilers somewhere in there. But I feel as though, and maybe we're losing some audience because we don't signify that we are going to be spoiling it. However, we are doing reviews. So it should be figured out that we're just kind of spoiling it. But I can see it both ways. Anyway, so somebody just said, yeah, it came out 3.5 years ago. So that's not a spoiler, or, you should have been warned. And then they came back and said, also, that's not the ending. And then you had somebody say, well, it being 4 years old, I believe it's time for social media spoilers consideration to have passed. That being said, it really doesn't give much about the story away. You still have hours of other content to enjoy beyond a throwaway setup line. And so again, it was a throwaway setup line. I think we even did talk about it when we reviewed Masterful. And however, the person who initially made that comment basically is just like, well, that's pretty mean, isn't it? And he's only been collecting Big Finish audios for a year. So here's the question that I because I don't have Liam or Legion or Humphrey here, I needed a second voice. And so I went to our old friend, ChatGPT, and asked the following question. Yeah. All right. So what I did is I put, what is the appropriate amount of time to pass before it is okay to spoil a movie, a book, an audio drama, or a TV show? And it kicked out with actually 5 different things. It said movies, books, audio dramas, TV shows, and video games. So, and because I think personally, it is on the person who is new and novice and I do have a YouTube channel, the Comic Novice, and I struggle finding places of where to start reading. I mean, if I did, I'd be like reading Golden Age, DC, Silver Age, Marvel stuff. And that is a long, ride to get to modern stuff, and a lot of good stuff and a lot of garbage stuff also. So I've constantly been struggling where to start. So I can also see the big question of where to start with some of this Doctor Who audio stuff. And I think for me personally, just kind of a little side FYI, is I think you need to start with what interests you first. Now, if you are going to be jumping into the 8th Doctor adventures, I think it would probably be more important for you to pick up the main range or monthly adventures of the 8th Doctor before you jump into the box sets. And I think that is for a lot of these storylines. Even though now there are box sets that are kind of standalone, but I still think that you kind of need, well, at least with the 8th Doctor, you do need to have some background on certain events that have occurred, especially since they bring back Charlie. Who's Charlie? they might bring, and then they bring back Lucy Miller in another box set. So again, there is some, homework required of you being late to the party, which I understand, being late to the party, collecting comics, reading comics, because there is so many things constantly out there. So I think personally, first off, the person who is new to the hobby, it is on them to kind of be willing to be on groups for possible spoilers. If you're worried about it, I know sometimes with, modern releases, they will go, interesting thing that happened in this episode, and then they will put in brackets or parentheses, spoiler, and then they will just, period, enter, period, enter, period, enter about 30 times, so that it would forces you to click the read more, so that you could read the spoiler. That being said, anyway, I can see both sides. Collecting only a year. Also, throwaway line, you are in a group of audio people. This was talked about. I think if you were going to, yeah. So anyway, I think personally it is on the individual to either choose to see or choose not to see a variety of either Facebook fan pages. What do you have to do? Is there going to be, do you need to have a Big Finish novice group where only the people that are on there are new to Big Finish? But the hard part about that is if you're all new to Big Finish, what will you be able to talk with each other about? Unless you're a group that is just doing it and reading and listening to it together. So I think there's massive issues with spoilers. And I think when you join a Facebook group, you have to be okay with the possibility of having stories ruined. I also don't think that this masterful series would be anything worth worrying or whatever. Now, had he bought this at full price, I could see that being a huge, huge disappointment. But it was a really interesting thread that, people were just kind of like, it's not important. They kept on telling him it's just a throwaway line. So it just says people are going to be fans and the world doesn't stop because of you, which is a very interesting discussion also. So with that being said, I am in the group of it is okay to have and post spoilers. However, when you are part of a Facebook group, just know that if it's an older story and it didn't come out this month, there is a chance of spoilers to occur, which means it is on you to either be a part of the group and read the thing or not. Should the person have basically started off with spoiler, again, having listened to it, having known the entirety of, what that reference is and how unimportant it was in the grand scheme of thing, because it is a Return to Telos story, basically, that's not that big of a deal. So, ChatGPT, my good old friend, said in response to when is it okay to spoil something? And so they said, the appropriate amount of time before it is generally considered acceptable to spoil a movie, book, audio drama, or story can depend on the context and the community. Here are some general guidelines, okay? And I do like the whole community because, again, Big Finish audio group, Big Finish listener groups, part of a community. So for a movie, it says generally waiting at least 2 to 3 weeks after the release is considered respectful. This gives most people a chance to see the film for major plot twists or endings. Extending this period to about a month is more considerate. So regarding a movie, you have about, a month before people spoil it for you. If you jump onto Twitter and you see a spoiler, that is on you. You chose to do that. It's almost like when I used to be a massive sports fan, and I wanted to watch a game that I was recording, and I didn't want it to be spoiled. Well, I couldn't go to Twitter because the people that I followed were sports people, and they were going to, give me some play-by-play. Like, I can't believe that happened. This is insane. They might have even cut like a clip and made it into a GIF of something that was unbelievable on there. So it's on me to avoid technology for sports things. For movies, especially a big blockbuster movie, with social media, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. I don't know how Instagram really works, but it is on you to choose whether you see it or not, because once you log in and it's there, I'm sorry. You avidly made the choice. You could have withheld your look. And that's, that spoiler is on you. So second one is books. And it says, since reading books takes a lot longer than watching a movie, a good rule of thumb is to wait around 6 months to a year after publication before discussing major spoilers. Okay, so if we take this, and I think that's very logical. I know I'm a slow reader myself. So when I read a book, it takes forever and a half to be able to get through it and whatnot. And I do appreciate people who don't spoil books. However, if the book has been out for about 20 years and I'm just like, man, I'm just wondering, I cannot wait to find out how Harry Potter, how they finally kill Voldemort or whatever. And somebody just goes, oh, well, it was this. Well, first off, I probably shouldn't have said that. I probably should have prefaced it some way else. I should have said, hey, I have not finished reading Harry Potter. I haven't watched any of the movies. I'm very excited to find out how it ends. Okay. If somebody else spoils it to you, that's on them. That is not your fault. Or either just depending on who your friends are, you just kind of keep that little sucker secret to yourself. Unless they're talking about Harry Potter. And then it is up to you to just walk away. And be like, I'm just going to go to the bathroom for a while. Anyway. So why do you always go to the bathroom when we're talking about Harry Potter? That is so weird. Funny story. Anyway, I think another thing that needs to be considered is, so the next one, is audio dramas. And it says, for audio dramas, especially those with episodic releases, waiting a few weeks to a couple of months after release of the final episode or installment is advisable. That's kind of an interesting thing, especially with the Once in Future series, since the Part 8 won't be released until November of 2024. Which, by the way, I hidden in all this is the new cover art for Once in Future, featuring the Ruth Doctor on the cover. So I think I should one of these days break that down and whatnot. But but I think that's really hard, especially because of how classic Big Finish used to work with the trilogies or whatnot, and then especially since they would have arcs. I really think that is really super hard because, you might want to say, if you're kind, you might be super vague and be like, hey, once you get through that arc, there's a new arc that came out just, recently that will have some answers or will actually drive you more mad. That's kind of how me and Liam used to talk regarding Big Finish and whatnot. So I think it's kind of interesting to figure out when would be a good time to give a spoiler for an audio drama, and then especially being a part of an audio drama group on top of that. For TV shows, it says for episodic TV shows, waiting at least a week after an episode airs is courteous. For full seasons releases all at once on streaming platforms, waiting a month is generally appropriate, which I agree, especially when you have Stranger Things coming out And Stranger Things has now become, must-watch TV. And for how long they are, was it the last season, a couple of episodes were like movie length. Like, you can't expect everybody to have countless hours of time to get through 5 movie length episodes. So again, I think it just depends on the movie or the TV show and whatnot. And I, in public, it's just, common courtesy. Oh, have you seen this? That should be the first thing. But if you're part of a movie group on Facebook, that is on you. It really is on you. Video games, for the last one, it says, given the varied time of commitments for completing video games, waiting 2 or 3 months after release is typically fair. And then also ChatGPT concludes saying, I got a bump there. Anyway, when discussing spoilers, it is always best to provide a clear spoiler warning to give others the option to avoid them. This is especially important in public forums or social media where people might inadvertently come across spoilers. Now, the interesting thing about that is the whole idea of, over 3 years. Can I spoil Phantasmagoria or whatever? Can I spoil the 2 doctors? Can I spoil the wrong doctor? Can I spoil Dark Eyes? I think currently, yes. I think as we do reviews for the podcast, I think yes. I think unless there is a massive big twist that deserves to be talked around and deserves to drive people to certain places, I think that is the best way to go about doing and commenting and reviewing on podcasts and YouTube, is give people the option. Do we do a good job of that on the Doctor Who Alhambra podcast? We could probably do better. But yeah. What are your thoughts about spoilers for Doctor Who? What are your thoughts regarding the new Whoniverse spin-off series for BBC One and Disney Plus, as well as the news about Big Finish's latest website updates? Please email the show at alhambraaudio@gmail.com, tweet the show at Alhambra Podcast, DMs are open, and until next time, I will see you in time.
You have been listening to the Doctor Who Alhambra Podcast. Doctor Who is owned and trademarked by the BBC. Doctor Who Alhambra is not affiliated with the BBC or Big Finish. No infringement is intended. Visit our website at alhambrapodcast.weebly.com or email the show at alhambraaudio@gmail.com. Tweet us at Alhambra Podcast. That is ALHAMBRA Podcast. Thank you.